Welcome to Colorado Soul Stories, showcasing changemakers and creatives, past and present, who have helped to make Colorado not just a pretty place to behold, but a soulful place to be. I'm your host, Mama Jill, longtime Colorado resident, former teacher, and freelance journalist. Let's get started with our next episode.
We were each other's favorites. We would always say, what if all that ever hurt just needed kerosene and everything looks beautiful and nothing's clean.
I solicited stories that are Colorado-based about winter and the holidays. I put that out there actually the day it snowed a lot here in the Front Range. I received a few. I'm going to read one from my friend Sandy. She writes, in March of 2003, we received 40 inches of snow overnight. My kids, 7 and 10 years old, were super excited about the snow day. They wanted their friends to come over and build snow forts, but the roads had not been plowed and wouldn't be for at least a day. My daughter's best friend and her brother lived a mile away and had a four-wheeler. They jumped on the four-wheeler and came over. The 4 kids and other neighborhood kids that joined in built snow forts and played in them all day, taking breaks throughout to come inside, drink hot chocolate, and warm up. In between some of these snowy stories, I'm going to insert a few longer stories that are a bit more contemplative about winter. This next story was written by Josie Nixon, who was one of my first guests on the podcast representing the storytelling group called Exposed, where people are supported in telling some of their hardest chapters of their life. So this story by Josie is called A Winter Break. Although the winter's night breaks the strongest of men, here I sit in a steaming hot bath with 17 candles lit. Every year for the last 33, I have dreaded this darkness that comes in the Colorado cold. I'm a chronic complainer when the sun sets before 6 p.m. There are so many things on my grievance list that you would agree with. I know because I rarely am clever enough in the winter to come up with original complaints. I leave even that for those more laborious than I. My bath feels like a line of defense against frigid darkness, chaotic cold, and not so cold, and random warm days in our summery late fall. The bath remains consistent, piping hot human soup, my witchy side preparing my own body for consumption. In the cauldron's broth, I oversalt and generally underseason, but I prefer to be steamed and then seasoned for taste. The early nights are reserved for those who have exquisite taste indeed. Come join this dumpling under a heated blanket, tea and whiskey in hand, for a movie that'll make us say, we must put on another. Surround me with those who bring their own stews, porridge, and hearty soups. Plant them firmly around the fire so we can regale the tales of warmer days, filled with sunlight and joyous laughter. I invite those to attend who can hold the floor. Tell us your favorite joke. Guests come with ideas of comedians to search and wine in hand, a combination we all secretly desire year-round. But if you're wearing fuzzy slippers, that means it's withheld for winter. Any activity can be a winter sheltered delight if you wear the right pajamas. I daydream, if even for the mere hours permitted, of someone who comprehends the full body sensation of flannel sheets warming around your skin. This person knows the dessert of winter evenings. Spare no expense for your 10 hours in bed. Fill your nightstand with books that ease your mind. Bring a candle or 5, but only if they're in glass. Play soft music, Christmas music for 3 days tops. That warms you as if you were dancing in the speckled shade of a summer tree. These are winter delights, those who have taste, us who bring desire into winter from fall to spring. I actually don't think I have much to complain about. I look forward to winter this year. I really like that, Josie, and I agree with a lot of it. I've been getting in my PJs quite early. Hey, small business owners. I know it can be hard to juggle all of the things. Marketing your business can sometimes go by the wayside. That's why I called Amy from The Creative Angle. Amy has a knack for finding your story and integrating it seamlessly into every communication, helping you engage your current customers and find new ones. She helps with email marketing that actually gets opened, to social media that connects, to websites that feel like home, and even press releases that get you noticed. She's got you covered. The Creative Angle specializes in supporting small businesses, nonprofits, and creatives who don't always have the time or know-how to make the most of today's marketing tools and best practices. Think of Amy as your behind-the-scenes marketing team helping you build trust and create meaningful connections with your audience. So if you're ready to market your business with less overwhelm and more impact, contact Amy at thecreativeangle.co. That's .co, not .com. Another snow story was from my friend Jess, who mentions the blizzard of 1982. That was a doozy. She says it was so bad. There was snow up to the top of the car that we had to dig our way out of. I remember this very well myself, too, as I attempted to drive from Wheat Ridge, Colorado to the Denver Tech Center, where my father had just moved, and I had just gotten my driver's license, and the drive was really scary. There was a lot of snowdrifts that were taller than the car. This next story comes from my friend, writer Teague Bohlen. Teague was also a guest on the podcast. As a matter of fact, we recorded 2 parts. It's a great conversation. We talk about writing. We talk about how Denver has changed in the last 20 years. It's a great conversation. Look it up. Teague is a regular contributor to Westward, has won the Colorado Book Award, and just came out with a new book called Escaping Denver. Here is his story. Christmas in Colorado. My most memorable Christmas in Colorado came during one of my darkest winters. My marriage had just ended, and my children were with their mom and new stepdad for the holiday. Christmas was always important to me. It was always the best season of my 13-year marriage, too. My kids' mom and I were happy and distracted from the relationship that we both should have known was failing. I didn't know how to do Christmas without my kids anymore. My extended family was no refuge. Having scattered, parents living abroad, one sister in California doing her own thing, another in Arizona doing hers, and an estranged brother I hadn't spoken to in over a decade. Aunts and uncles and cousins that used to define the holidays, visits, pulling numbers out of hats to exchange gifts, dinners that were joyful, they too had stopped gathering. There's a secret linchpin in every family, that one person that held together family events, and once they go, so do those get-togethers. I could hold no grudges, after all. I turned to my own family, too, focused on them. True, I had no money to travel anyway, but more to the point, I had nowhere to go. Except that this Christmas I found a place, or a place found me. I met someone in those lost and chaotic days following the dissolution of my marriage, and the nuclear family dream I surrendered. She gave me hope, gave me a shoulder. We stayed friends for as long as we could, and it turned into more. She'd hate this comparison, but it was very When Harry Met Sally to me. Oh, so appropriate right now. 2 people who'd known each other for a while, off and on, before finding each other at the right time, finally. But this isn't about her. It's about what she gave me that Christmas, and even in that, I'm not talking about something I could unwrap. She invited me to join her family, her mom and dad, and a niece. I considered not going, not wanting to intrude, but I'd met her parents enough to know she was sincere in saying that they'd love to have me. They were welcoming people. It was Christmas. It was what people did, or should do. So I went, and I missed my children terribly, but everyone there knew it and talked with me about it, talked me through it, and we watched It's a Wonderful Life on Christmas Eve and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on Christmas Day, and then whenever football was on, and we ate and laughed and made merry. All that. It was later on the evening of Christmas Day that I was in my car, having been sent out on an emergency whipped cream run for the pies, that I realized that somehow I'd done it. I'd had a Christmas without my kids, and still somehow felt like home. I'd been given that gift, that amazing fundamental gift, through nothing more than the good graces of people that I was lucky enough to find. On that drive it was dark, but the snow on the ground reflected the moonlight, and homes up and down the residential streets were shining in a kaleidoscope of celebration, of welcome. It could have happened anywhere, I know, but this holy night, at least for me, happened in Colorado. It reminds me to this day that lesson of every Christmas. In the darkest of seasons, we look for the light, and more, while we make it for ourselves, we also make it for each other to guide all of us home, everyone. That's a good one. Made me cry. So some of these stories are demonstrating that not all Christmas and winter stories are sugary sweet. So thank you, Teague and Josie, for taking the time to submit something quite authentic. This piece was recently written by my friend Lisa Rogers. Lisa is a community organizer. She is wonderful at empowering people and bringing them together. She is also very well known to me as a part owner of one of the best third places I ever hung out at and worked at, actually, in the 1990s, the Coffee House Common Grounds, which used to be on 32nd and Lowell in North Denver, a place that I dearly miss and had many wonderful memories there. So Lisa, thank you for letting me read this piece called Winter as a Season of Gathering Strength. I struggled with the pressure of holiday expectations all year, but winter has a way of clarifying what I am no longer willing to carry. The long lists, the crowded stores, the sense that meaning must be purchased and displayed. I've stepped away from that version of the season. All I want most days is to cocoon at home with a warm drink and a holiday movie, the lights low and the world held at a distance. Winter is long and dark, and rest feels intoxicating. And yet winter is also too long and too dark. I know the value of breaking up that darkness, of visits and celebrations, conversations and rituals that mark time when the days are short. What I've let go of is the performative version of the holidays. The perfectly decorated house, the curated table, the escalating obligation to produce something magical for an ever-growing, ever-blurrier list. What I've kept is the ecosystem, the community, the simple act of showing up without spectacle. The gatherings come anyway, but differently than they once did. I no longer scramble through stores or manage endless preparations. What remains are the gatherings themselves. Family dinners, community potlucks, neighbors lingering longer than I planned. I still feel the pull to stay in the cozy warmth of my own home, especially as the nights stretch on. And yet each time I step out, I'm surprised by the comfort waiting there. The ease of shared food, the relief of unhurried conversation. I leave fuller than I arrive, not because of what's served at the table, but because of the reconnecting. Thanks, Lisa. This one is by a woman named Carolyn, who I actually went to elementary school with, and she lives in Utah now. She says, my brothers and I would build a snow fort or tunnel along the driveway from all the shoveled snow. Hours of fun for days, playing outside until our hands and feet were frozen, and the hot cocoa with marshmallows that followed. I, of course, have very fond memories of that, and if you've lived in Colorado even just a little while, you know the sun will come out, often right after it snows, making it a little easier to play in the snow. So some of you might not be aware of the fact that I have been a journalist for the last 7 years. Mostly wrote a column for the Denver North Star newspaper called Letters from Miss Jill. I was fortunate to have that be a monthly column. I've written for some other publications, and I've also written a memoir based on living in Colorado. I just joined the Denver Women's Press Club, a very historic organization that was created when the women in the late 1800s in Denver were not allowed in the regular press club. So it's an honor to be a member there. and myself and some of my peers there are putting together an anthology of writing from mostly current members, but I have been perusing the extensive library there that includes works beginning in the late 1800s. And I found this lovely book of poems by a woman named Jean Milne Gower. It's called Little Pictures of Colorado, and it contains almost every special place I've ever been to in Colorado, like Gray's Peak, Salida Civic Center Park, Washington Park. And this particular poem I thought I'd finish out our winter stories with is called On Marshall Pass, which is not far from Salida. A campfire flickers on a rocky spur. Odor of coffee, bacon, mundane things mingle with scent of balsam, pine, and fir. Thus man to mountain his frankincense brings. Off in the east appears a spectre moon, fearing perhaps that it has come too soon. So vivid are the golden clouds to the west, so crimson as they woo the sun to rest. And there between the twain, heaven's two great lights. My campfire casts aloft its saucy ray, mocking with its bright sparks and darting flights, those luminant guardians of the night and day. Sorry about the doggy interrupting. I wanted to keep going. Hopefully you heard all of that. Happy winter. Stay warm, stay cozy, enjoy the snow, enjoy whatever holiday you celebrate. Thank you for listening. See you in 2026.
Welcome to Nude Foods Market, where we make plastic-free grocery shopping convenient, easy, joyful, and local. We have everything from produce, snacks, meat, and fresh bread to home care, body care, and ready-made meals. The big difference is that our deeply researched organic and local groceries come pre-packaged in returnable glass jars. You shop just like a regular store. The only difference is that instead of putting all that packaging into landfill when you're done with it, you bring it back to us to be reused hundreds more times. Visit our stores in Denver and Boulder and get $10 off your first shop. Go to nudefoodsmarket.com/COSOL to claim your coupon. We're locally owned, women-owned, and working hard to fix our broken food system, so hope you can pop in and check us out soon.